Hi gang, Mr. Ed here for another episode of Mr. Ed Draws, and this is for the Art Addicts Alliance prompt voted for by the viewers. And this month's prompt is reflections, and when I think of reflections, it can be something subtle or introspective, or it can be something kind of literal, like a mirror or a reflection in an eyeball or something like that. I went with the Kaleidoscope, and I made that kind of in an interesting way, and I'll share that with you here in just a moment. But I wanted to show you some of the art that goes into making the video itself. It's not just the artwork that's featured, but in a lot of cases, the artists in the Art Addicts Alliance and other artists who do video content will, and even non-artists, people who do vlogs, they'll work on art for their banners, work on art for their thumbnails, and there's a lot of work that goes into something that people hopefully will pay attention to long enough to watch the video, but then they really don't think about it afterwards. So if it works, it's not going to linger, but it is going to attract you. So I try to make a nice thumbnail, and in this case I wanted to make one that reflected the theme. So I reflected the curtains in the floor, or in the stage there, and then put the Art Addicts Alliance logo on top with the finished artwork. So to start this artwork, I had to write a program. Well, I guess I didn't have to, but this is the process that I went through. I wrote a program in AppleSoft Basic. It's an old programming language, and some old timers like me still use it as a hobby, and I love creating art with it. And one of the things that I really love to create is kaleidoscope patterns. And here's some of those patterns that the program makes. Now, in order for you to see them better, because it's an old programming language and the output is something less than to be desired, I used a filter in this editing software that takes it up a little bit. So even in generating the video content here, I've managed to create some really interesting art using this computer program. And it basically just has a couple points that orbit a point of attraction that moves around the screen, and then that process is reflected vertically, and then that vertical, the sum of that vertical is reflected horizontally, and it creates a kaleidoscopic pattern here. So I have some keys that I compress, and it creates different output, creates lines, sometimes it just creates dots, whatever. And I mess around with those until I get a nice pattern that I like. It has a nice mix of colors and geometry and textures that's interesting, something that I can work with later on. So after playing around with this for a while, and I just love watching it, I will turn it on and just kind of, if I'm thinking about or doing some art or whatever, I just turn on this kaleidoscope and kind of meditate. It's really fun to watch. So once I found a still, I screen captured, cropped it out, loaded it into Photoshop, and then just did some color select isolation and gradients, and used a few filters and that to create an interesting kind of organic shape, sort of maybe like an eyeball. And I love kind of the arrows that are on the corners or on the sides of that. They just happened incidentally. So I used some asymmetry, kind of grunge, to make it look more organic, and then added some grunge on and things on the edges, just to kind of make it look less perfect. And once I'm comfortable with that, then I kind of go through and hue shift until I find a color blend that I really like. Sometimes it takes me a while, sometimes I just can't decide. You know, people ask me, what's your favorite color? All of them. And the one that I decided on was the one that I thought people might like the most, and that was the purple one. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoy this video, and check out the other artists. They're listed in the description below. And until next time, you guys, take care.